This is a quick video to show how to create groups and groupings in Moodle to use them for group coursework or assignment. So the first thing to do, you need to create groups. So to access creating groups, you need to expand the left-hand menu, then select participants, and it will show you something similar to this. And then you need to click this cog icon or the setting icon and then choose groups. So now you can see all the groups that's currently available on the left, and if you like to create new one, and just scroll down a little bit and click create group, and then you need to give it a name. In this case we call it 4060 Dubai and group number 5. And that's all you need. And then just choose Save Changes. So now you can see there's a new group created now called the CST 4060 Dubai 5. And after that, we need to add the student to the groups. And you use this Add Remove User buttons. Click that. And then you have a list of all the students in your module. And so it's usually easier just to search the user by name or student by name. And if you type in a few letters, it will start filtering down already. So if I type A, S, okay, so that's the only student with name, A and S in its name, and you can just, if that's the student you want, just click Add. Or you can just scroll through the list manually, select the user, and add. For anyone you want to remove, for example, I add this student by accident, then I can just select the student and choose remove. And then once you finish adding all the students you want to the group and you're done, and just click back to groups. And now you can see, and CST 4060 Dubai number 5 now has these 2 students. So this way is how do you create groups and add students to the groups. Okay, and before these groups can be used for group coursework, you actually still have to create groupings. So the grouping is essentially a collection of all the groups you created. And usually for a class, you have more than one groups in your class. Maybe say every 4 or 5 students form a group. Then you would have maybe say 4 or 5 groups for your class, and then you can create a grouping, and then the grouping will then be used to decide the submissions. Okay, I'm going to come to that in a second. And if you look at here now, and we already have 2 groupings, and the first grouping called CST 4060 lab groups. And inside that, you have these groups created, and if you want to make changes, and it's quite similar to how you make changes to a group. So you click this icon here, and you have a similar interface. Here are all the groups within this grouping, and here are all the other groups currently available. If you remember, we just created a new group called CST 4060 Dubai 5. You can select this and click Add, and that goes to the groupings. Okay, and you don't need to click Save or anything. If you finish, just and back to the groupings. So what you want is to add all the groups for one class into the same grouping, or depends, if you want to have just a grouping for the entire cohort, you can also do so. And the last thing I want to show is where do you use the groupings in the actual group assignment or group coursework settings. So let's just go to the one of the group assignments on this module, which is coursework on lab group work. So that's a group work done in the lab. And if you go to the settings part, and if I expand all the settings. You can see later on. Okay, and you can say group submission settings, and they say students submit in groups. I choose yes, and this can't be changed anymore. This is something you select when you first create up the created assignment, and once it's created and students start to submit, then you can't change it anymore. Okay, and there's the other thing here. It says grouping for student groups. So this is where you select which grouping to use for the group assignment. And you can see this says CST 4060 lab groups. Is the grouping we just saw early on in the video. Again, once students start submitting their group, submit group work, you can't change it anymore. But basically, these are the two things that you need to change to set up the which grouping to use for the group assignment.